Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're talking about some of the best decks for over like the last 2 weeks. So they released the ban. I haven't done this type of video in a while because they released the ban list like 3 weeks ago, and then like they said it was legal like last week, and so it's just a lot. So and like we're kind of in the tier 0 format, so it's hard to find these. This article was written by Renren. Let me just check something real quick. Yeah, always putting in that work. I appreciate that. From Renren. Nothing wrong with a little hard work on YGOProDeck.com. This is some of the more interesting, like roguish decks. Oh, I love a good rogue deck. This was piloted by Rodrigo Doodle Pioneer L. Except we got the W. So I'm just kidding. He actually only got top 8, but still, that's basically a W with Doodle, a Doodle dinosaur deck. This was from the Barcelona WCQ regional from December 3rd. This is not really a Doodle dinosaur deck because there's only 3 Doodle cards and they're all at 1. But it is a dinosaur deck, right? We like good dinosaurs. It's supposed to be budget, but it says it's 418. So I'm curious to see what is it that's making this so expensive. We'll have to wait and see. So 2 copies of UCT, 1 copy of Lithospasm, 1 copy of Doggoran, 1 copy of Doodle Beast Tyranno, 1 copy of Pancratops Fenrir. Okay. Uh, Fenrir is sort of $74. That makes sense. I mean, this looks like a hard second. Yeah, I mean, we're main decking Harpies. Yeah, you kind of need to run Fenrir. Unfortunately, it's a super expensive card. Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! 1 copy of Druisworm, 2 copies of Magnum Hut, 1 copy of Sarnier. These aren't that expensive though, right? No, I didn't think so. 1 copy of Stego, 1 copy of Giant Rex, shout out the OG, 1 copy of Misk, still making its way, 3 copies of Oviraptor, 1 copy of Scrap Chimera, remember, 1 copy of Scrap Raptor, this was like $1 common, that was funny, 3 copies of Baby Ceratosaurus, 1 copy of Petit Dre, I've never known how to say this card, 1 copy of Nemesis Keystone, you target 1 banished monsters, except this card, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do shuffle that target into the deck during the end phase, this card is currently banished, you can banish this turn, and you can add this card to your hand. So it brings back your Misk. Respect. I wouldn't have thought when Misk got banned, or when Misk got put to 1, I wasn't like, oh, you could just use Nemesis Keystone. Like, I did not think of that. I don't even know if this card was out at that point. How old are the Nemesis archetype? I was looking at the Nemesis archetype when D-Fissure came back because I was looking at cards that said banished to see, and like I was like, whoa, what is this Nemesis archetype? I did not think of, oh, you can put Misk back, but you can. 2 copies of Archosaur, 1 copy of Dragonic Diagram, 2 copies of Lost World. Shout out Metaverse is back now, but they're not running it. 2 copies of Dark Hole, 3 copies of Dark Hole, not Raigeki or Lightning Storm. Oh, is it the Doodle Beast stuff? Like, I know, like, because, like, for example, Fire Kings. I use any chance I can to talk about Fire Kings. They like to be destroyed, right? So you would run Dark Hole over Raigeki and Fire Kings because they actually, those cards want to be destroyed. And Baby Ceratosaurus and the card whose name I can't pronounce, Petite de Dragon, they want to be destroyed like that. So maybe that's why you're running Dark Hole. 2 copies of Double Evolution. It's also super cheap. It's like $1, if that. It's 2 cents also. 2 copies of Double Evolution Pill, 3 copies of Fossil Dig, 1 Heart Piece, Feather Duster, 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity. That's another thing. You don't need this card. This card you don't need. This card you can run like Extrav or maybe even Desire. I wouldn't play Desires, but Extrav could probably fit here. Even Pot of Avarice, if you're feeling frisky. 1 copy of Called by the Grave and 1 copy of Doodlebook. For the extra deck, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 copy of Nat Beast, because we can make it, so we might as well. 1 copy of Lagia, 1 copy of Grand Knight, 1 copy of Dolka, 1 copy of Aguska Dweller, Unchained Abomination, Scrap Wyvern, is that the expense? Nope. Okay, I respect the piercing for dinosaurs. I respect it. This is a Duel Links card though. Maybe this person probably plays Duel Links. One copy of Sprite Elf. That's another thing. Maybe bump it up the price a little bit. One copy of Secure Gardena. One copy of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is a $10 card. The more you know. One copy of Linkuriboh. One copy of Appaloosa Bow of Goddess. Bow of the Goddess. For the side deck, 3 Evenlies. Jeez. So we're doubling down in the side deck. I'm going second. We never want to go first. If they force us to go first, we put in Solemn Judgment. I don't know how we would know they're going to force us to go first, but if they do, we put in Solemn Judgment. 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More, 1 copy of Gaga Cowboy, and 3 Ghost Sister for time. 2 Drolls, 2 Nibs. Why is this a $400 deck? I'm sure the math checks out. I'm not doubting the math. I think if you don't run Fenrir and you run maybe Extravagance instead of Prosperity, you probably could get not the exact same result, but you could get a similar result. I really like this deck. I've always really liked dinosaurs. I like the way. I have no questions about it. I love that this feels like the biggest thing, even though it's a one of. It still feels like one of the biggest interactions of the entire deck. Hey, we can put our Miscellany Ceratosaurus back because the thing is, well, it's only at once. So we don't see it very often, right? But the longer the duel lasts, because Miscellany Ceratosaurus is searchable, right? So if we open it, perfect, right? But if we don't open, the longer the duel lasts, the more likely we are to get to it and reuse our Misc. So I really like this. This is basically going second dinosaurs, which is there any other way to play dinosaurs at this point? I don't think so. Now we bumped into a Katira Meknite. This was piloted by Alan Blanchard, which is definitely a name I've seen before, but I continue. I don't know where that's at. But this is a Nantes WCQ Regional. This was on December 4th. This was a top 4 deck profile. This is like super Meknite though. Wow, look at Meknite. Meknite is an underrated deck. Like there are some decks. I talked about this on the Penny Stock Market Watch of like Bird Up and like Ultrageist, Sky Striker, which we're actually gonna be talking about that deck in a second here. That's always been meta, excuse me, or relatively meta. Meknite feels like that. Like it feels like there's always just a Meknite deck just wandering around somewhere. So shout out Meknites, keeping it true, keeping it real. 3 copies of purple, 3 copies of blue, 1 copy of Grisou. Is that right? Hopefully. 1 copy of World Legacy World Chalice, 3 copies of Kashtira Unicorn. Can be searched off by Fenrir. Woohoo! 1 copy of Indigo, 1 copy of Yellow, 1 copy of Red, 1 copy of Called By, 3 Dark Ruler No Mores, 3 Pot of Prosperity, 1 copy of Birth. You can almost summon level 7 monster without tributing. Awesome! Awesome, awesome, awesome. How many of those are there in this deck? Nope. 1, 2, 8. It's not bad. What else does it say? During you can special summon one of your non-Xyz Katiri monsters from bench or graveyard. If your opponent activates a spell card, you can or effect. You control a I don't know why I can't say it. Monster. You can target 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard, banish them face down. So this counters Planet. 3 copies of World Legacy's Memory. Because why not? One Triple Tactics Talent. This feels like the new Upstart. Upstart Goblin used to be like the 40th card in every deck, so you were basically running a 39 card deck. But since there's so many monster effects wandering around, especially because Mystic Mine got banned, you can just run 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent and just say, okay, I can draw 2 now, or I have a Mind Control that has no limitations on it, or I can the Liquid Duo. No, not the Liquid Duo. Confiscation. World Legacy Successor is fantastic card. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck. D-Fissure doesn't really. This deck might even run. It is not. I don't think D-Fissure hurts this deck that badly, though. Does it? Maybe. 3 copies of World Legacy Secret. Pretty good, considering that's our entire archetype except like 4 cards. 2, 3. These 3. Except for these 3, our entire archetype can be summoned. Our entire deck can be summoned by this. And 3 evenly matches in the main, because they never see that coming. This is a staple going second card. I've always been on the fence about this card because it forces you to skip your battle phase. And in a card game where you only are playing like 3 turns, you need your battle phases, but this is just such a fantastic going second card. So another blind second deck. Interesting. 1 Almirage, 1 Dark, 2 copies of Lib, the Link 2, 1 IP, shout out IP, making her way downtown. 2 copies of Morningstar, obviously, 1 copy of Spectrum Supreme. This is a really good card. This is a really good card. People just don't ever see it because it needs Mech Knights. 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This link summon cards unaffected by your opponent's card effects, card activated effects, unless they target this card. Pretty good. 1 copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax. We can run this card because we're actually running the actual archetype for it. 1 copy of Galatea. 1 Dingrisu. 1 Shangri-La, I don't know. 1 Zeus, and 1 Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack. The OG, still hanging around. I respect it. 3 copies of Nightmare Unicorn Ibli in case we're forced to go first. I actually don't. I think this deck's a little different. I think this deck doesn't mind going first. Like, you side out the Evenlies and Dark Rulers for Ibs and D barriers for tier elements. Different Dimension Ground. I told you this deck can play under D-Fissure. I don't know why they're not playing D-Fissure, though. Maybe they don't love it. They can play around D-Fissure, but they don't love it. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 3 D-Shifter. Someone let me know why they're not running D-Fissure. Because I think D-Fissure is better than Different Dimension Ground, right? Like, innately? Right? It's the same thing? And when I looked at this deck, you guys can check it. You can go back 2 minutes. I just did it. Like, I looked at this deck. I was like, I don't think this deck gets destroyed by D-Fissure. Like, it's not great, obviously, but it's not that bad. And we are running the Ghost Sister for time. Some people hate this card. Some people love this card. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you like this card? Or do you hate it? I've been playing mostly on Dueling Book, so I don't ever go into time. Because, unfortunately, that website needs time. Just those 2 deck profiles for the video. So let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. Make sure you guys click that like button to show your support for the channel. Subscribe for even more content. But most importantly of all, have a good day.